Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about sequencing in Magic the Gathering, which is one of the most important steps into becoming a good Magic the Gathering player. What sequencing is basically like what order you take your actions in a turn, because there's a ridiculous amount of freedom in Magic the Gathering turns. So we're going to go through a few principles in sequencing, but in essence, this is all about just like understanding how like your deck works, understanding like how Magic the Gathering works, understanding what makes good turns. And so sometimes these principles can be broken in really specific scenarios. So let's talk about it. First off, obviously think through your entire turn before you start playing your turn. Thinking through your entire turn can be really difficult if you don't have max information, which we'll talk about in just a second. But it's really important not just start playing cards and then realize you don't have enough mana, which is just like a really low level thing to do, or playing cards and like you realize you should have done one thing first because like you gave your opponent a certain amount of information or whatever, or you know you played some cards which gave your opponent the green light to kill your creature or something like that, right? Think through your entire turn always. That being said, the second major principle is take actions before giving information to your opponent. So what does that mean? That means things like, if there's no reason for you to play a land or no reason for you to play a spell before combat, attack first. An attack is something that your opponent knows you're going to do anyway, right? That is something that does not require more information. Like unless you have like a removal spell and then you attack or whatever. Like if it's relevant to play before combat, obviously do it before combat. But don't do anything before combat if it's not relevant, because you're just giving free information to your opponent and allowing your opponent to make more informed decisions for their turn and for combat and for all that stuff. Like, for example, if they only have 2 mana up, let's say they have a counter spell and a kill spell. If you cast a spell they don't care about pre-combat, and then you attack, that gives them a green light to kill your creature. If you attack first, they don't know if you're going to cast a spell that they're worried about, so they kind of have to take the damage from the creature. Then you cast a spell they don't care about, and then end step they have to kill the creature, but they've already taken damage. It's really important to not provide free information to your opponent. There are other scenarios where you would be providing free information, but like the attacking first is the most common one. In the same sense, always provide yourself max information before taking other game actions. So, for example, if you have the ability to draw a card, have something like Reckoner Bankbuster on the battlefield or something like that, and you know you're going to end up drawing a card some point during the turn. So you thought through your whole turn, like I'm going to be drawing a card, I'm going to be killing a creature, I'm going to be attacking, and then maybe passing my turn. Always draw the card first. The card that you draw might change how your turn goes, might change how you use your mana. Always draw. Like there's no reason to attack. There's no reason to like kill your opponent's creature, attack, then draw, where you give yourself information at the end of your turn. This feels obvious, but a lot of people mess it up. Give yourself the information, reassess, and then go on with your turn, always. Now, sometimes drawing the card is incorrect because you don't have enough mana or whatever, right? And then do your thing. But if you are going to give yourself information anyway, always do it first. This sounds silly, but even higher level players do it. I mentioned not playing a land so you don't give your opponent information. If your opponent has like mana leak effects, make disappear, stuff like that, play your land if it's relevant, before you cast your spell. Just like, don't be dumb. Like a lot of these like principles and sequencing are just kind of like have the like little asterisks by it as like, don't be dumb too, and all of that stuff. And in addition, with leak effects in mind, if you are playing against counter magic or anything like that, try to bait your opponent to use it before you cast the spell that you care about. So for example, in Modern, I play a lot of creativity. And in scenarios where it might be otherwise correct to play Indomitable Creativity, sometimes I just jam a Fable of the Mirror Breaker, because Fable of the Mirror Breaker is a card that I care about, but not as much as Resolving Creativity, and is also a card that can totally bait counter magic out of my opponent's hand. Where if I lose the counter war, it's not a big deal. Where if I just cast creativity and I lose the counter war, it is a big deal. So try to bait these spells that you care about out of your opponent's hand with other spells before you cast spells that you really, really care about. And those are just like my like 4 big principles in sequencing. Thinking through your turn, actions before giving information to your opponent, information to yourself before you take your turn, and then bait spells first. And then also be aware of mana leak things, so make sure you play your land, if that actually matters. if this quick video was helpful to you, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.